Hello, everyone, and
We're good.
okay.
We're good. My mouse was just, it was like a pixel on the wrong scene. So I clicked it and it went to like the old school, like early January background for 1 second. But we're good. We're good. Whatever. Let it go.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of We Fucked Up
Ah, son of a bitch.
of Out of Our League. We have an amazing guest today, and I'm so sorry to him that we have dishonored him so. Then again,
What?
it wouldn't be an Out of Our League episode without doing something silly.
Dishonored?
Today-
What? Yes, clearly don't know me well.
Whale
My whole
punk,
life
you
is
know?
one giant fuck up.
You know what? Since he chimed in there, we're going to introduce him first. Today, we have the Nano Biologist. Mick, how are you doing today? What's going on, man?
Doing well. I mean, it's been a nice chill Saturday. Playing games all day, watch some new My Hero.
Ooh,
So it's just been a nice chill day. Out with the dogs.
nice. Now, what games are you playing?
Right now it's mostly been World of Warcraft and Scarlet Nexus. I've been
Okay.
slowly getting back into MMOs with all the talk about World of Warcraft versus Final Fantasy. I just decided, you know what? I'm gonna get back into both. And what an awful idea that is.
Yikes.
Yeah, that doesn't. I don't know if that sounds fun or not. Having one MMO in your life is a huge time sink. So
That's a job.
Yeah.
that
That's
seems-
an actual
yeah.
job.
You
Oh
know,
my God.
just two major MMOs on top of everything else.
Right?
Now, I haven't played World of Warcraft. Real quick, we have Alan Gage with us too, and you all know me.
Hey, guys.
So I haven't been into World of Warcraft since like Wrath of the Lich King. But
Okay,
this
you haven't played it in a
newest-
long while.
Yeah, this newest expansion kind of interests me because I've heard so many good things about it, and I like the idea of the level crunch that they added.
Yeah.
Where they decided to take everything back down a notch, because the idea of leveling up, and I know you can buy like the token, and I know leveling is not as hard as it used to be back in the original 1 to 60 days, but I still like the idea of that smaller number. How are you enjoying it? What's going on with that?
I'm definitely enjoying it more than most, it seems. Because, yeah, you said that how they crunched all the levels, which is really nice, because otherwise we'd be at, what, level 130 at this point? And trying to get to 130 is already a huge task for anybody trying to get into this game, going through every expansion. And I like the changes they've made to the leveling experience. So if you do want to get back into it, they've made so many ways for new players and old players to hop right in as if nothing happened. Like, you can level through any expansion. They have a specific expansion for new players to level up through from 1 to 50, so you can start the new expansion. I'm really liking this new expansion from a lore perspective, because I've read nearly all of the World of Warcraft books. I read all the comics. I watch all these lore videos about the history of Warcraft and Azeroth. So I am wholly invested in this universe, and just seeing how they're approaching the afterlife and what chaos is happening there has been fun. And this new patch has been pretty interesting because they're expanding on it. They've been updating some old systems that just weren't working at first. But overall, it's just been really fun to get back into.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's always nice to see games that have a consistent content output. Try new things, but it can also be to the detriment to the game in the long run. So it's nice to hear that they're going back to some of those things and kind of revamping them and changing them. Anyway, game talk aside, if people don't know who you are, go ahead.
Before we move on, like,
Okay.
Mick, you say you've played everything Warcraft, but let me ask you this: have you ever laid hands on the Sword of a Thousand Truths?
Maybe someday.
Okay,
Yeah, I haven't
that
gotten
was
to
just for me
yet.
That's just for me. Sorry about that, Phil. Go ahead.
Nerds.
No, we can get back to the World of Warcraft talk in just a moment. I just before we get too deep into it, I just wanted to ask the question: who is the nanobiologist? Who is Mick? If people don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, that's a deep question. So
That's what we do here.
I guess starting So I guess starting off with my username, the Nanobiologist, I graduated from Virginia Tech, always repping the VT hat, go Hokies, with a dual degree in biology and nanoscience. I was actually one of the first from Virginia Tech to graduate with a degree in nanoscience. They were inventing the degree as we were going through the courses. So
Wow.
they brought in graduate and PhD level professors who normally just taught graduates and PhDs these topics to teach us at the undergrad level. So we were more providing feedback on these classes that were graduate and PhD level classes. And it's like freshman, sophomore level students at Virginia Tech on top of everything else, putting in double the workload as a lot of other students were. And that was really awesome in its own way to achieve. And now I work, my whole life is basically medicine. I've worked in medicine even in high school as a office assistant to my dad, who's an ophthalmologist. And now I work in medical school research too. So I'm still wholly invested in medicine and medical sciences using those 2 degrees, thankfully. Not all that money went to waste.
Yeah.
And other than that, I mean, I am just a huge avid gamer, always been a fan of games throughout my whole life, and a dog lover. I have my 2 corgis who are my world, and I think that's really about it. I'm not good at this whole introduction stuff.
No, you're great. That was
Neither are
awesome.
I just thank you on.
Yeah,
I
neither
thank
are
you
we,
on behalf-
obviously.
on behalf of all KFBFs out there, thank you for putting up like a higher standard of like having scientists and people of medicine amongst us here. It's just very refreshing and very gives us something to brag about, even though we have nothing to do with it.
It's like whenever we say we know a guy, you're that guy.
Yeah.
No. Don't put that pressure on me.
So with all of that said, one of the obviously what we're talking about now is you are a huge kind of funny best friend. You're very well known throughout the community. When people generally you pop off, the Nanobiologist or Mick, they know the guy from Kind of Funny Games Daily, who's always in your room, or that really cool guy. But how did you get introduced to Kind of Funny? Where did that lineage start?
Oh, so that was way in the Beyond days. I was listening to game podcasts in college, listened to Beyond, and it was right when Greg and Colin left. I fell off of game podcasting in general for a couple years, and then when I got out of college, I started my first and only job. I just needed to spend more time doing stuff, and I looked at podcasts and saw there's this whole thing called PS I Love You. Oh, that's interesting. It's by the same people who did podcasts Beyond. So I started listening to it, and that's when I really started getting Kind of Funny and that content, listening to everything else. By that point, it was really just, I think, PS I Love You and maybe one other thing beyond the morning show, which was only on Twitch at the time. So just listening to those podcasts, and then it led to them creating KFGD and introduced You're Wrong. And even then, I was still working all the time, and I didn't really pay attention to it too much beyond just listening to it on my drive home every day. And then the one thing that actually pushed me to be really into the community was a You're Wrong about World of Warcraft, actually. Rare stuff in games, and they were bringing up these random things, and I was thinking to myself, they're missing one of the rarest pieces of game tech out there. When after they moved on to, I think, the 3rd expansion, Cataclysm, they took out all the old server blades from the original vanilla WoW when they were consolidating servers, and they were auctioning them off, signed by the entire original development team, and that was worth hundreds of thousands, I think, at the time, and it was just going completely unmentioned. And after that point, I decided, you know what, I'm going to correct these old fogies, actually make a good podcast from now on, make it correct. And that's when I really started getting into the community.
That's awesome. Yeah, Blizzard, pre, whatever's going on over there right now, always had some of the coolest rare and limited edition things that they would put out. And it was long before even some of the statue, I can't think of any of them right now, but a lot of those statue manufacturers that are out now that are doing these high detailed statues, I remember they were always doing like that one that they did for StarCraft 2, where it was Raynor as his Space Marine armor and everything. It was this gigantic, like crazy detailed statue that only had like 1,000, ever made or whatever. Just all that stuff. They've always been so good. I remember there was the golden orc. I think it was a golden orc statue that they did for members that had been there since like the beginning, and it was like an anniversary thing that they did. So
they were selling
really cool.
Thrall. They were giving away Thrall statues to people who were subbed since day one of World of Warcraft and kept their sub for 10 years. And they always, no matter how much bad press gets, I always still think of them as they're still community driven. They still love their community. They will get back whenever they can. And those statues that you're right, they are extremely detailed, and some of the best statues out there that you can get for a collector's item come from Blizzard.
100%. But that's awesome. I love that that's was your intro, because we all have an interesting intro to the community, like how we got started. Like, because obviously a lot of us are fans of Kind of Funny, but we don't necessarily start interacting with content until that one thing happens. And I'm so happy that happened, because I love hearing your name almost every single day on Kind of Funny Games Daily. Whether it's a question that you submitted, or whether it's you're wrong you submitted. I always love it. It's always great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so definitely a highlight whenever I listen to. The only unfortunate part is I don't get to listen to them on the day of, so I end up listening to them later, mostly on like my drives and stuff. Always one of my favorite parts is when they get to that portion of Games Daily, and I get to hear what you're correcting the boys on.
Absolutely. It isn't a KFGD unless we hear your name correcting them.
That's right. So, yeah. That's right. Yeah, absolutely wonderful.
Speaking of that, it's still weird to be thought of. I don't like when people call me a celebrity because it doesn't feel right. And there are people who are like, "Oh my God, you're a legend." I just am sitting here like, no, I'm just some guy who likes to Google things to learn better and correct other people.
I like to call you a pillar of the community, because a lot of the Kind of Funny community, like I said earlier, would know your name if it was shouted out. So I like pillar of the community, because you do a lot to hold up, the Kind of Funny best friends and promote stuff, and the Kind of Funny crew themselves, and interact with a lot of their content. So, but definitely fun. So you were talking earlier about what you do as far as medicine. Was it just your family upbringing that got you interested and made you want to go into the sciences, or was there something, like a certain thing that happened when you were growing up that made you want to pursue that?
It was definitely my upbringing. I'm from a whole family of doctors. My mom isn't, but my dad, my grandfather, my great grandfather were all ophthalmologists. So I was raised with the mindset of, I'm going to be a doctor too. They put so much pressure on me to do well in school so I could be a fourth generation ophthalmologist, which I believe there's still like 30 in the world total of fourth generation ophthalmologists. And I found out in college that I didn't really want to do that, because I volunteered for a ambulance company in my free time. Like, I was trained to be an EMT. I drove the ambulance. That was my free time, basically. And it was a lot of fun. And it convinced me that maybe being a doctor isn't what I want to do, especially because it introduced me to paperwork and the bureaucracy of being a doctor that is completely different than when my dad and my grandfather were brought into medicine, when they just treated people, the paperwork was there, they just did it out. But now it's 60-70% paperwork. You're more dealing with insurance companies and leadership at the hospital than dealing with the patients. And sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm an optician. So
Okay.
So I get all of that.
Yeah. So you completely understand what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But I still have to deal with paperwork and the insurance companies, and it's interesting to see it from the outside perspective of when they come out of the doctor's office, because we are that representation that they see after they're done with the doctor. And so I see a lot of that side of it for sure.
Yeah. So like, working at the office and talking to my dad about how everything has changed in the past years, it completely put me off of being an actual doctor. And so I just decided I'm going to still be in medicine. I'm going to use my degrees, not let those go to waste, and work in medical research instead, as something that is still very helpful for the medical community. Because I didn't talk about this earlier, but my job is working on clinical trials to make sure that they are running appropriately, that participants are safe, all they're fully protected from any undue influence. They're doing these things that are potentially dangerous to them, but they are fully aware of the risks and are understanding of the benefit of what will happen. And then making sure that none of the data is fraudulent, so that when they do submit all this stuff to the FDA or any other regulatory authority throughout the world, it's going to pass. And that medicine will be out there for use.
That's awesome. Now, growing up with kind of this pressure to do good in school and everything, you're a huge video game fan. How did you balance that school life, video game life? And on top of that, when did you first get started in video games, and what kind of sparked that interest?
Starting with the first question, I didn't. I played a little too many video games, especially World of Warcraft, middle school and high school, where my grades weren't always the best. I still did well, but not as good as I could have done, because I was playing games too much and upset my parents a bit too. But whatever, that was 20 years now, 15 years now. So that's long gone. And my first game, I've been trying to find a game that was my first game I ever played, because when I was young, I loved trains. My parents got me this little game that was a point and click adventure where it was all in a train station. You just explored a train station, and that was it. I have never been able to find this game. I might just be making it up, thinking back on 3-year-old Mick. So it may not even exist at this point, but
it makes me think
I remember as my first game.
Was it a console? Do you remember if it was on a console or
No,
PC?
No. It was a PC game.
Yeah, there were a lot of those kind of Myst style, like kind of exploration point and click adventure games that came out during that era that are just lost to time now. I remember playing so many of those.
Yeah, and the thing is, I could also just be misremembering, because 3-year-old Mick could have been like a murder mystery game that was in a train station or on a train, and I just remember, ooh, fun train station stuff. I'm just gonna click around the train station, explore it all.
That's awesome.
Or it could just be a creepypasta that you read and forgot about.
Maybe that too.
All right, real quick, what is everyone else's first games? We've got random train station game.
It would have been probably on the PlayStation, but I can't remember exactly what it was, because it would have been when I was, I don't know,
sure,
2-3 years old, something like that.
Best memory though. Best memory.
God, I remember playing. So we had a demo disc, so I know I played a lot of demos back then. And then we owned NASCAR 98. My parents, family's huge NASCAR fans. They're just turning left, so I don't know what the fuss is about. No, I'm just kidding. So they bought NASCAR 98.
I love you, Cage.
They bought the steering wheel and the pedals and everything for it. So I remember that, and I remember playing mainly the demos. So it was like Gran Turismo, Medieval, Crash Bandicoot, stuff like that. But I don't know like what the first actual time playing it was.
Al?
I think I was 5 or 6, and I remember my uncle bringing in a knockoff Famicom, and it was Super Mario Brothers. Was the only thing I remember about that. He might have put on some other games like beforehand, but the only one that stuck with me from that day is Super Mario Bros. Like the original. That was a different world. That was something else completely that I've never seen before.
There's so many games I played back then that I can't remember. Like there was a Super Nintendo game that I used to rent whenever I'd go to my grandma's house. It was a Disney game. I remember you're playing as Mickey Mouse, and it's like a side scroller. And I've never been able to find this game because it's not whatever.
The one that people always associate with it.
Because they did like a remaster
Magic
of it.
Castle or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't that because I
Castle
have
of Illusions.
That. Yeah, I
There's
have that
another
on
one.
PS3,
There's a
and it's
couple
like
of those.
this isn't it. But I've never been able to find the exact
Magical
one.
Quest, Mickey Mania.
I don't know. That's the thing. It's so weird.
What was it on again, Gage?
It was on a Super Nintendo.
It might be Mickey Mania.
That was way later on because I had that on Sega CD for some fucking reason. Because it came out simultaneously on Sega CD, so that's like that era.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was 94.
It could have been the Magical Quest. Because that one looks the most familiar, but also none of them look like how I remember it, obviously, because I was like 5. Oh my god, it's so weird.
There was that one with Mickey and Donald where they would it was a co-op game. That was amazing. It wasn't Castle of Illusions, it was World of Illusions on Genesis, but that's not what you're talking about, I don't think.
Holy shit, is that it?
Did we just find it?
It's
He's
gotta
the
be-
person on the podcast to discover it.
It's got to be Magical Quest. That looks so familiar.
I just realized I was talking on mute there for a second. I said
be.
Magical Castle earlier, but I meant Magical Quest.
It's got to be Magical Quest. It looks so familiar. There's also this old MS-DOS game I used to play that I can't find. Let's try to find that one too. No, I'm kidding. I wonder if we can find that. I just remember it's...
What a gamut you run, Gage.
Dude.
PS1 is your first memory, but also an MS-DOS.
Dude, we've never
game.
gotten into my
And
gaming
Super
history
Nintendo.
because it's all over the place, dude. Like most people, it's like they start here and they move forward. My gaming journey was like here, and then it like went back 10 years, and then it jumped ahead 10 years, then it went back 5. It was all over the place where it's like PS1. Oh, here's a Super Nintendo. Here's an Atari 2600. It's the year is 2004, and we have this shitty compact PC desktop running Windows 98, and that's all that I have. And then, dude, it's just all over the place where I'm like, I'm gonna go play Halo, and now I'm gonna go play a fucking MS-DOS game when I get home. Jesus Christ, dude, it was crazy.
All right. Mine was Joust.
Joust,
On
that's
the
a good
Atari.
one.
Oh wow. Okay.
Remember the old Maze
that was
game?
my
Just
first
the
one.
Microsoft Maze screensaver game. It was just,
Yeah.
it just
Somebody made
existed.
it
It's
into a
like,
game.
it's either like a screensaver or you can actually like play a app version, like an executable file version, where you're literally just walking around this fucking maze.
How about that Windows pinball game though?
Dude, I used to mess around with the
I played the
3D
hell out
sound
of that.
settings, where it's like you can go and configure your sound settings, and it would have those 3D animations where it's like, here's what the 3-dimensional sound's supposed to be, and it'd just be a ball emitting sound going in a circle, but you could walk around this area. There was nothing there. It was just a flat white environment with like a ball over here for this effect, a ball over here for this effect, and I would play that.
Okay, sorry. We got off on a little bit of a tangent there. So your first game, and then your journey of playing too many video games and not balancing school as well as you probably could have.
Did that continue
Why-
into medical school? I'm sorry, I have to ask.
I never went to medical school.
Okay. But you studied
So
nanobiology.
nanoscience. I studied
Nanoscience.
biology, nanoscience in college. So I got 2 degrees in 4 years.
Okay, but you said
one.
that you were playing a lot of games in middle school and throughout high school, but were you doing that during
Yeah.
college?
Oh, yeah.
That's the.
I
I
mean,
think that's what they meant by how did you manage to like balance those two things? Because
Those two. Well, for a year or two, my parents did not let me bring any consoles to college, and I started playing League of Legends instead and playing more PC games just to get around that. They could not stop my addiction.
where there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly. And
Sitting there on Newgrounds playing whatever Flash game was available.
see, video games was one thing. It was the volunteer stuff that really ruined my grades in sophomore year of college. Because I would go volunteer more than study, and sometimes I would accidentally miss a test or a quiz because I was
Oh no.
at the station.
Oh my god. That's awesome though. That's a good, at least you were doing it for the right reasons, you know? You know?
That's what I tell myself. My parents, though, they don't believe it.
Parents just don't understand.
Yeah, they don't
No.
understand.
Good song.
That's awesome. So you've obviously continued your passion for video games, but there's a particular passion that I want to know more about, and it's a very large chunk of it is right behind you. When Gage mentioned Mickey, your ears perked, and yeah, your eyes lit up, and everyone looked into the background of your video feed and saw all of the wonderful Mickey memorabilia. So where does this come from? How did this start? And why is Kingdom Hearts so great?
It was Kingdom Hearts that got me into Disney. And for a while, it was just I liked the Kingdom Hearts video games. And then when I started having disposable income, it turned into all of Disney. Because I watched the movies growing up. I never really got into them, though. But it was senior year of college, and I went to Disney World as an adult. And that changed everything for me to where something just clicked inside, and I just fell in love with Disney so much. Being 21 and having a fun time just doing whatever the hell I wanted in the Disney parks. And that led to me collecting collectibles for Disney. I have that. What is behind me is only a tiny fraction of my Disney stuff. I have 2 shelves over here of Disney pop figures. I have a whole of these magic bands, which are like what you can only use at the Disney World parks. But I love the designs on them, and so much more of just loving Disney, watching Disney movies, Disney shows all the time now.
That's awesome. I love when games and media do crossovers like Smash Brothers. Like I always get really annoyed as I visibly sigh when gamers get upset at like a character coming into Smash Brothers because it's not the character that they wanted. And on one hand, I guess I kind of understand, but at the same time, Minecraft, for example, is hugely popular. So why not give those fans a way into Smash Brothers by putting a Minecraft person character in there? Then that then gets them to buy Smash Brothers, and then they experience this plethora of other content through that one franchise. Speaking very similarly to Kingdom Hearts, which obviously you played for the story and the characters, and then fell in love with Disney from there. But yeah, on the flip side, if you already own Smash Brothers and a character gets dropped into it that you've never really didn't know much about or weren't very excited about, but start to play and you learn their story, their fighting moves, you find out that they're really fun, and you're like, I want to know more about Kazuya or whatever else. And you start to branch out into the Tekken franchise, and you start learning about Tekken and whatever else. Tekken. And so, anyway, I always love stuff like that because it gives people a window into a whole new world that they may not have otherwise gotten into. So, so that's awesome. I love to hear that you were introduced to this world of Disney through video games and through a means that may not have ever branched out into that love if it hadn't have contained the stuff that you fell in love with. That said, what's your favorite Disney franchise?
Treasure Planet by a mile.
Treasure Planet.
Yes.
Robin, where's
Where's
Robin
Robin
right
going
now?
on?
Where
Right?
is Robin?
It is the I love researching like what happened during the era of Disney, the end of the Michael Eisner era, and them kind of backing up back to the princesses and them trying to hide all evidence of the early to mid 2000s movies. And Treasure Planet's the craziest one because they lost so much money on that movie, and it makes sense about why they forgot it or why they're trying to forget it. But it was such a good movie for kids who were growing up watching Little Mermaid, Hercules, and they're when they're little kids, but then they're getting into the teens with Treasure Planet, which covers exactly what it's like going through a teenager, especially in the modern day. And I wish they wouldn't just kick it to the wayside and just hide it away for forever in the Disney vault, but embrace it more for the parks because they could do so much good stuff with it, especially with the sequel that they were planning for but canceled pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. I watched it just recently, and when I was a kid growing up watching this movie, I never thought about the parallels of, you know, Treasure Planet, Treasure Island, the way the story plays out and how like close and similarly it follows Treasure Island. And it kind of hit me when I was watching it this most recent time, and I'm like, huh, it really is an adaptation of Treasure Island.
Yeah.
And I think it gave me a new appreciation for the movie because it allowed me to just kind of experience it in a different way, because I got to compare it to another thing that I really enjoy and love, and how they changed things and what was different, and how they made it their own. And I thought that was really cool. But yeah, great choice. Great choice.
Close second is DuckTales, the new DuckTales.
Oh my gosh. The new DuckTales. I shouted you out.
So good.
Yeah, I shouted you out in an argument, not an argument, but like a please get Ben to watch DuckTales. And you were the first person I thought of to shout out in that tweet because, like, oh my gosh. It's so good. I tried to go back and watch the original DuckTales recently, and it was so hard because all the characters have like the same voice actors, and they're all
Huey,
played
Dewey,
in these really rudimentary ways. And
Huey, Dewey, and Louie are basically the same person. Webby is a little kid damsel in distress the whole time. Yeah. But I love, if you watch the new one though, they're all so unique and relate to them so well. And they created a great story that has no reason to be as good as it is.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, all the storylines, all the pop culture references, all the fun characters. In the most recent season, there was a cameo from a character that I'm not going to mention, but it made me so happy that they just randomly decided to throw that in there.
Jesus.
I know, I spoiled it. Tommy was in The Last of Us Part 2. I'm so sorry. And you know, it's just all these little things. The only thing that makes me sad is that a lot of these references are going unfounded and they're not going to be expanded upon for future content. So it's literally just these one-offs of like, oh man, why don't they do that? Why don't they go into this? Because I'd love to see modern takes, especially from this team.
It was definitely like the Smash Bros of Disney morning cartoons, the 90s.
Yeah,
just everyone was here, and I'm interested to see what they do with the Darkwing Duck show eventually, if it will live up to DuckTales. But we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're making a new Darkwing Duck show. What?
Seth Rogen's on it.
Yep.
Wow.
So you know it's good.
They're also doing Chip and Dale, which I was a little sad was not Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. But in fact, just Chip and Dale. But still really cool.
That voice cast, though.
That was be a Magic Mike sequel.
See the voice cast?
Yes, it's insane. I thought the DuckTales voice cast was insane.
How do you even know that? Are you too young for that, Gage?
Wait, what did Gage say? Did we miss something? Expound. Oh, his camera froze. There it goes. Okay.
Yeah, he made the joke that he thought Chip and Dale was a Magic Mike thing.
He said Chippendales. Like, hey, is that a Magic Mike sequel?
Got it.
Yeah.
You know, to be fair, he's seen both movies and enjoyed them.
Magic
And
Mike
you know what?
and Magic Mike XXL have no right to be as entertaining as they are. As a straight man, I never thought I would like them, because it's like, oh, I
Sure.
think it's just going to be guys that, nothing wrong with that, obviously, very, very attractive men. But I was like, well, if it's just them dancing, I'm probably not going to enjoy it that much. And then I watched them, like, this movie's fucking awesome. Oh my god, they're all so good. Great movies, you should watch them. Very
Do
entertaining.
they make a reference to Chippendales dancers though in those movies?
I don't know. They just strip a lot. That's
Okay.
basically it.
That's funny. Yeah, my
right.
wife watched the first one and she wasn't super thrilled, and that's usually a barometer for me to be like, I don't know if I want to watch them. So, but
What
hearing that
was-
you
what
like
was
them, I think they're
her-
entertaining.
What was her like expectation though? Was she expecting just a musical or like a dance movie, or
Probably, I think probably
'Cause
more
it's-
in the line of
there's
that.
a few scenes of them dancing, but it's actually
Yeah.
following a story that's
Right.
actually very entertaining. Really good character moments, stuff like that. Some good comedy in there.
I gotta watch them eventually because I really want to listen to the kind of funny and review of them. So someday,
Yeah.
whenever they get to that.
They're very good movies.
But anyway, back to our special guests instead of random tangents about Magic Mike. We have some fun community questions.
Okay.
Al, before you fall asleep as it rounds into midnight, what's your community question?
My community question for the day is from Austin Murphy, also known as @Borzen. He asks, if you found me and my evil clone fighting, how would you know the right one to shoot?
God, this is a tough. I saw this tweet. And I just started thinking like, this might be impossible.
I think
I-
the evil twin would have a goatee, no?
Maybe I don't. That's
Not
the thing. Like,
necessarily.
would he just be evil by computer parts, trying to push cryptocurrencies and who knows what else on me? Because Borsen's a great friend of mine. He's been great. Like, I can call him up for anything, and he'll just help me on the spot for computer issues because he's so knowledgeable about that stuff. Or if I have any questions about Destiny, he will answer them on the spot. Because the way he's about Destiny is the way that I'm about World of Warcraft. So
Nice.
I honestly don't know. I might just let him fight it out to the death and see what happens.
I'm sure he'll appreciate that answer.
I had to start the community questions off with that one because it's the most fun one that we got for sure. That's great. I love that. Speaking of World of Warcraft again and cryptocurrencies, how's the gold market in that game? Like, is it still as weird and wild, or is it worse? Is it better as far as like the bots being like, "Hey, buy some gold. Let me
It's
farm your
definitely-
account. I'll get you to level, whatever."
It's definitely cracked down. I don't see it nearly as much. I think Blizzard's definitely updated their AI sensors, whatever, to find those botters. But it's gotten, the worst part is the market's so inflated now because now you can sell things for thousands of gold like it's nothing. Because back in the day, it was like 30 gold was a lot, but 30 gold means you can barely even afford repairs, not even repair your armor. So it's funny to see the ways Blizzard tries to take gold out of the market in different ways. Like last expansion, they had a 5 million gold mount, which had its own auction house on it. But it was so cool to see because it was just a giant Stegosaurus that you just ran around on. Yeah. And they keep on coming up with new ways just to take gold out, trying to take gold away from some of the richest people because some people have maxed out all the money they can on several characters so they can do whatever they want in the game and be fine. And there's a new way now of farming raids and getting people titles and raids where you would pay millions of gold just to get carried through the hardest difficulty now by a high-end guild to get that special title and mount. That's the new thing beyond gold.
Gotcha. Interesting. going back to a little bit more serious stuff. Obviously, you've been branching out into content creation for a few years now, and you have this really cool layout that somebody made. Anyway,
Hashtag not sponsored.
Sorry. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, a dumb joke. How have you been managing like playing games, content creation, and a job, and still making it feel fresh and fun?
That has been the hardest part the past year or two of actually getting into content creation, because at first it was just streaming and that was fine. Just having a couple hours a week just to play games with friends online or playing through an RPG while people watch and make fun of me for being bad at the RPG. And then it ended up being, no, I actually want to review games. When I reviewed games for My Xbox and Me, writing reviews and then branching off to do my own thing, that's when it got more complicated, because I didn't know what was too much and I wasn't putting limits on myself. But recently I got advice that just somebody told me, think about what your plate is and think about what is rotting or not bringing the most numbers, something that you're not enjoying out of all the stuff you're doing, and just cut it. And that's helped me a lot, just to focus on what I really enjoyed lately, which is making fun, dumb videos or making quick videos about the news for people to enjoy in bite-sized matter, like in bite-sized forms. And that has really helped with my job as well, where if news happens, I'm not stressing about it all day so I write about it or post stuff about it later on in the evening. I can just pick up my phone, record a video on it, and post it now in minutes. So I still have my full-time job I can easily manage. I have all this new fun stuff I can make now that quickly goes out right on time and is topical. And I'm not feeling overwhelmed when I play games or reviewing games or spending time with my fiance or dog as well.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about how you went about doing or applying that advice that was given to you? Because I'm sure a lot of people listening are probably going to benefit from that, only because we like to do a bunch of different things. And I think it makes a lot of sense with the advice you brought up, to find the one thing that you're kind of not really doing that great in and just cut that out completely. What was that like? Was it hard? Is it scary? Is it like, how did you go through that?
It wasn't scary because it wasn't that old. For me, when I first started doing my own thing this year, I was writing reviews, I was making video reviews, I was streaming, I was making TikToks, which is a lot for just one person to do, on top of a job, having a fiance, having other responsibilities. And it was definitely taking a toll on me. I could tell that I was becoming too stressed out and wasn't really enjoying gaming nearly as much. And I'm still paying for the website now where I posted my reviews. I'm trying to think of a way to revamp it to work with my new content, but it was just thinking, what am I not enjoying? What is taking the most time for the least payoff? And at the time, it was writing reviews, because people will read reviews, but it's mostly from the big sites. So it was also not only writing reviews, but also how to blast it out to as many people as possible to get those numbers up so I could get more new games to review for the website. And after listening to that advice, when he was talking to me, the first thing that came to mind, without even actually thinking about it, was the website review, the written reviews, because I knew that was taking the most toll on me for the least benefit. And I just stopped. And it felt like freeing, really, when I just sat back and thought, I don't need to write anything. And I could just play more games and enjoy what I'm making more, which helps so much in the long run.
And you could do that. You didn't have to tell yourself things like, well, maybe I'll get back to it like in a couple of years or in a year or two. Like you just cut it out completely. Like you told yourself, and we're okay with that.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, I could easily go back to it. It's always going to be there. So that possibility of going back to reviews is there when I learned to manage everything else. But it's content creation takes such a toll on everybody. It's a second, third, fourth job for people when you're doing so much at once. And you can't start all of that cold turkey because that will overwhelm anybody. So it's almost like driving a car or riding a bike, learning a new skill. It's learning one new thing at a time and adding more onto it later on. So it was telling myself that I can't manage this now. Maybe I can in a couple of years, but for now, I will be better off without. It's going to be less numbers to show off, or less numbers in general, less impressions, but I can focus on everything else and make that stuff grow more now.
Don't get me wrong. I totally think you did the right thing. It's just that I know some people would be not as willing to give up something that could be like getting in the way just because it's something they're passionate about and they don't want to give up doing. But that's sometimes is the right thing to do. And I agree with you totally.
And I noticed this a lot being on Twitter and seeing people who are, because everybody during quarantine decided, I'm going to start content creation. I'm going to do my own thing now. And so many people started streaming on Twitch or making YouTube channels, making TikToks, all kinds of different content. But then they were saying yes, 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 yes to more stuff and more stuff on their plates that they just weren't ready for. And
Absolutely.
it was learning.
Feel that.
And I was guilty of that too during quarantine. And it's just learning that that was unfeasible. It might be fun. You might be learning new skills, but as a human being, it's completely unfeasible.
Yeah, I when COVID happened, I was trying to find ways of like keeping myself busy, making a little bit extra money, whatever, and started doing like open commissions and trying to find whatever I could do to stay busy. And that kind of carried over when life started back up again.
Yeah.
And I was streaming like 3 or 4 nights a week, and I was doing art commissions and stuff for like Snowbike Mike and for you and other wonderful Kind of Funny community members. And it got to the point where I couldn't anymore. Like I literally, when I sat down to look at something and start working on something, nothing was coming out. Nothing was like, there was no creativity coming out because I was so drained from work and life and my animals and trying to keep up this schedule. So I toned down. I basically stopped streaming entirely. I was like, if I want to do this, I'm going to find the thing. Because the other thing I found out was that video games streaming for me, I don't know how, I love interacting with the chat and people that come by, but what I don't love is like video games are a very personal experience for me. So I play them at my own pace. I do things that other people may not do. And so I found out that I don't know if I enjoy playing video games in front of a bunch of people. However, what I do love is making tier lists of birds. What are the top 10 birds?
Oh God.
Like just dumb things where I get to interact with the chat and have fun with, even it doesn't matter how big or small the group is, but as long as I get to talk to the chat and interact and have fun, that's what I enjoy about streaming and that community interactivity. So we'll try and get back to that sooner than later, but.
And I'm going through that as well, where I got so busy with work in June that I had to cut out streaming just so that I could still relax. And you definitely notice yourself, and it does take a lot of introspective review of you, like just sitting back, not doing anything and looking at what is causing me the most stress or what am I not enjoying right now to really get back to enjoying life. And when you are thinking about what content you could be making instead of just hanging out with your fiance, your girlfriend, your significant other, or just when you're walking the dog, was thinking, this is a waste of time. I could be working on a review right now, is when you should be thinking about what can I cut out to enjoy what you're doing instead, or feel like other things in life aren't a burden. Because I was very guilty of that for a couple weeks to a month.
Absolutely.
and it was straining
awesome.
all relationships.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice. That's crazy. I like that a lot. Yeah, because I was feeling guilt about it. I was like, oh God, I should really get back to that. Like I'm letting people down by not doing this. But I've also been mentally, on the flip side, not thinking about that stuff when I'm not thinking about it mentally. I've been much happier because I've been able to, like you said, concentrate on those things in life. I started drawing again recently for fun. And it's not that I didn't enjoy the stuff that I was working on. It's that I got so inundated with the stuff I was working on for other people that I stopped having time to do it for myself. And so now that I've kind of stopped that stuff for now until I feel, good about it again, I'm just making art for me. And that's felt really good as well. So yeah. That's awesome. That's great advice. And a great question, Al.
Oh, thank you. Can I follow up with a question I wanted to talk about before we left the Disney stuff?
Oh yeah.
So Kingdom Hearts didn't get me as a kid because I wasn't a kid, but I want to hear you talk more about the other Disney games that you talks about Castle of Illusion. Like, what about the other stuff? What about the stuff that either Sega did or Virgin Interactive did? Like that, those games that were on Genesis. Are you at all? Did those mean anything to you? Were you there?
I played the Game Boy versions of those because unlike you guys, I never really went back to old stuff. I was more of new games are fun, old game is old for a long while. So I played the re-releases on the Game Boy of, I think it was Lion King or some other game.
Those.
And I played the Treasure Planet games. Those were fun. I remember like the Game Boy Advance Treasure Planet game being a top-down version of the whole story, which was fun. And the weird knockoff spin-offs that were not even the spin-offs, but like during the age of every movie had to have a video game associated with it. Playing like the Finding Nemo game, the Toy Story games, which some of those Toy Story games were fun. The 64 toy, where you like an open world Toy Story game was a lot of fun.
Toy Story 2,
even though it was super tough.
Buzz Lightyear to the rescue. Great game.
Yep, that too.
So good.
But recently they have gotten pretty good. I mean, the Star Wars games are really fun now, like Fallen Order. But thinking back,
to be fair, do you think? Sorry, do you think Star Wars lends itself better to the video game environment because it's been a video game property longer than Disney has owned them?
Yeah, I think so. Like they're already established as fun video games. I just wish that they would branch out more beyond the movie era and do their own things again. Because that's when I think it really flourished.
I still miss the game that oh my gosh, what's her name? That did Uncharted.
Amy Hennig.
Amy Hennig. Yeah, the game she was working on.
What was that? 1919.
Yeah, something like that.
No, they were working on Ragtag.
Well, there was that one, but she was working on another one before that. Wasn't that her game as well?
No.
Who was doing
1313? I forgot which studio was doing it, but that was the Boba Fett, I believe, origin story.
Right.
Yeah.
That was canceled.
Maybe it's just because that
Disney
one had like
over.
Uncharted vibes. I'm thinking.
Yeah, it was like a third person, very much kind of the same type of gameplay you would expect from like an Uncharted game.
Because I get the Jedi fantasy, but at the same time, like that universe is so expansive. Like someone was talking about just recently making a horror movie in the Star Wars universe, and I'm like, that'd be freaking dope.
And
take some of the less known things. Yeah.
Public Commando. It's got horror elements to it.
Sure.
Telling you
it does. It's a horror You're not game. Wrong. Speaking of Republic Commando, great example of what we're talking about. A fantastic game that's not about Jedis.
Yeah. And it's totally different than anything they were doing before that. It was a squad-based tactical shooter, and it wasn't just hey, you're gonna play a licensed game, or it's another game with Kyle Katarn being this annoying as hell douchebag who's like, I don't want to be a Jedi. I just want my lightsaber. It's like, well, you should do Jedi training. I don't want to do Jedi training. How do I force push? Teach me. It's like, shut up, bitch. Just, goddamn, listen to Luke Skywalker.
So are you telling me that LucasArts was not doing those like one-offs, those different ways of telling the story within the worlds, like Disney was already doing with its characters back in the day?
I think LucasArts was
Like Castle of Illusion, Worlds of Illusion, and Quackshot. If you guys haven't played Quackshot, you have to. If you're DuckTales fans, especially, like they were just doing like standalone adventures of these Disney characters.
I remember, what was it, like Epic Mickey on the Wii was fun. There was another game that was on the GameCube about, I think it was another like mirror game that was more like an exploration style, non-action based Mickey game, which was fun. Well,
Yeah.
you remember what I'm talking about?
It's there. I just can't remember much about it, but I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, like Disney never really made for a while, especially like at the end of the Eisner era, they weren't really making their own games anymore. They were mostly just giving them to small studios to quickly pump out games for movies.
Disney's Magical Mirror. That's what it was called.
Okay.
Disney's Magical Mirror, starring Mickey Mouse. All right.
That's awesome.
They had some really shitty names back then.
And
I'll say that.
and the one game that really stood out to me though was, I remember back when I was at the Disney park, I think it was 6 or 7, and they were trying to make things more interactive then. And you could buy this little Game Boy like device, and that could sense where you were in the parks and make you play games associated to where you were.
Oh, that's
So you could play like Mickey in a Pirates level when you're in line for Pirates of the Caribbean, or Mickey in a spacesuit when you're in line for Space Mountain. That kind of stuff.
Cool.
That was fun. Even if it was like a crappy game back then, even for today's standards, as a crappy 16, not even 16-bit side scroller game.
Those Tiger Electronics
so
LCD screens to get
but for Disney
Burger
park.
crap.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like you know what I would think would be really interesting is there have to be people over at Pixar that would love to branch out into something like that. I'm thinking of Kina Bridge of Spirits, right? Like
Which is basically a Disney Pixar movie.
Well, yeah, but they were a studio that helped with like cinematics, and basically everything they've done so far has been modeling and cinematic stuff. And then they've taken that and started doing, making a game. And there's another guy who I can't remember if he worked on Dead Space or if he did stuff for movies where it was a lot of like body deformation and stuff. It's a game called Ill, and it's a small team of like 4 people. And the main guy, the main modeler from that is a person who makes like cinematic body deformation horror stuff, and he's taking that expertise and moving it into a video game. And it looks insane if you're a horror fan.
Suggestion for Ill game is Ill a real game? That's the first. Oh my god, that's hilarious.
That's funny.
Oh yeah. I remember this, seeing the they put out a little gameplay trailer, and it was like full physical based,
pretty intense.
Like dismemberment and stuff like that. Where, dude, it looked so cool.
So yeah, but that was like a tech demo display. It wasn't real gameplay.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what they end up actually coming up with. But that aside,
they can do it.
It'd be really cool to see these really experienced animators and modelers branch out and work on something like a video game and see what they could come up with. Because you got a great team of writers over there, animators, modelers. The only thing they don't necessarily have is like specifically game programming knowledge, but give them some, a small team of that, and I would love to see what they'd come up with.
Most of that shit for free now, anyways. Like there are so many template projects available and things like Unreal.
Sure, and Unreal, yeah.
There's like full-fledged, just for free a few months ago. Those are full-fledged turn-based JRPG template, where it's every gameplay element is there. It's just using default assets. You could literally easily take Pixar quality animations and stuff, put it on there, and boom, you've got yourself a pretty decent game already. You just gotta, write text and shit and have some VO. But yeah, that'd be really cool to see big studios like that branch out.
Done that though. Aladdin on the Genesis was done with the help of the Aladdin animators. That's the reason why it was so much better.
Sure, but I'm just talking about like modern stuff though. Especially like there's a lot of asset sharing. Like I know that some of those movie tie-in games were given assets of the 3D renders that they created and stuff to help with production. But
that's the same case for Kingdom Hearts 3, where they were actively talking to all the animators for the movies to make sure that all their guidelines and requirements for each character were met. And they were given some models as well to work with that too.
Yeah, so I just think it'd be really cool to see something like that. John Drake, get on
it. John, please.
That'd be cool.
If you could, I'm gonna give you this twofold. If you could have any Disney property turned into a video game, what would it be? And if you could have like some kind of idea what type of game it could be, what would it be?
Can we add what developer as well?
Ooh, yeah.
Also, like what director?
Ooh.
Ooh.
And publisher.
Because
the problem with director is like, unfortunately, even though directors, producers, etc. are I'm just filling time while Nano thinks are amazing and very vital to projects. Like there's very few people that you could just like pull off the top of your head, like, oh, that director. Like the ones that come into my head are like Mike Bithell, because I'm a huge fan of his work. Plus, we've actually talked to him, which is great.
He's a friend of the show.
Friend of the show, exactly. And then of course Kojima, who is incredible. And then Warren Spector, who did we were talking about Epic Mickey earlier, Warren Spector, and yeah, Miyamoto, and I can't remember his name.
It's just super dark. It's Toy Story. Woody gets his arm ripped off at some point, and it's just really brutal. Bo Peep gets beheaded. It's like, oh shit, what's going on here?
God.
Cage's old buddy.
They have to turn into cannibalism so they eat Mr. Potato Head.
Oh no!
I would honestly love to see Neil Druckmann make a Flynn Rider video game for Tangled, like his earlier years growing up in crime.
That would honestly be really freaking cool.
Right?
That's so funny. It'd be like getting young Drake without getting young Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's more fantasy based Drake.
Get some sword action in there rather than just guns.
Figure out how he learned the smolder.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Exactly. That would be an amazing pairing.
That's awesome.
John Drake, get on this, please.
Yeah.
I love that we're all assuming John Drake listens to this.
Or has any power to do any of that.
Just cut this out and send it to him.
Yeah.
No.
If you're watching this,
cut it out,
clip this out and tweet it at John Drake. Don't do that. Don't spam him. Please.
Yeah, he has a kid right now, and I'm pretty sure he's just trying to enjoy all that time. Yeah. So leave him alone. Not that anyone watching this show would ever do anything like that, but that's awesome. I really like that.
No answer.
I mean, he gave you a pretty good answer. Neil Druckmann and Tangled with the younger years of Flynn Rider.
Yeah,
Flynn. Yeah.
That's what you were going with.
Yeah, that's my answer.
Okay.
It's pretty good. I love it.
I doubt Neil Druckmann would be able to pull that off, but
and then
Disney might have some issues with his style, but whatever.
You know what I'm still surprised about? Like all the stuff they allowed to happen in Roger Rabbit, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because that was some weird shit for Disney to be okay with.
Not only Disney, but they had Warner Brothers on board with that too.
Oh yeah.
Like both studios were perfectly fine with what happened.
Yeah, but you wouldn't think Warner Brothers would have a problem with that. I would think that Disney would be not willing, but apparently it was totally fine.
Warner Brothers definitely has some of the wackier stuff. I mean, you've got like Roadrunner and
Did you guys hear
Tom and
that
Jerry,
pop?
stuff like that. No.
There was just a pop behind me. I don't know what the hell happened. Just a giant pop behind me.
The
Oh,
Disney
no.
police
Oh,
are trying to break
no.
through the window.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
coming. John Drake heard this, even though we're not live.
Don't you dare mess with Tangled.
So on the flip side, if you could adapt any video game into a Disney movie,
Ooh.
what would you want them to do?
Might need some covering while I think about this.
No worries. Yeah, I was just thinking about the idea of like the opposite effect of video game movies that you have, you know, the stigma around them, like all these different video game movies. I think it's interesting.
We're kind of getting that already. I mean, it's kind of a cheat answer to say like Marvel or Star Wars, that obviously they're owned by Disney now, but we're kind of getting that. We've got Clone Wars, which even before Disney bought them was kind of a Disney Pixar version of Star Wars, and then we're gonna get Marvel's What If, which is full on animation, totally different in more of that style. Ooh, John Wick would be pretty dope. Just imagine if it was John Wick Hex, but it's a Disney movie.
The Disney movie.
Oh my god.
It's a Disney Pixar movie of a game of a movie. Pretty awesome.
Right now, review wise and everything, Werewolves Within is probably the highest rated video game movie of all time because it has literally nothing to do with the video game other than werewolves. Yeah, it's interesting to think about like the legacy of video game movies. But I feel like with what Disney's been doing, that's true. But
I mean,
I could see.
Go ahead.
Get the answer. Get the answer.
I just came up with my answer. Yeah.
Yes.
Team Asobi making, or not Team Asobi, but taking Astrobot made by Pixar.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
Wow.
Basically Wall-E, but Astrobot.
Dude.
That's pretty cool.
I would
just the crazy world that they could build.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like, you know, Sony doesn't have a relationship with Disney.
That would be
that's
awesome.
really cool. Although, who knows what that relationship looks like right now, because we just got the Pirates of the Caribbean stuff and Sea of Thieves.
Let me get into that. Looks so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say it's easily, well, I mean, that's not hard to do, but they say it's easily the best content for Sea of Thieves. I've been wishing that they would do more kind of story-based content in that game for a really long time. But that's not necessarily the focus of that game. That game is fun when you're playing with other people and having a blast being a pirate on the open seas. So it's not really what that game's about. But I love that they brought this narrative aspect into it.
100%.
That's awesome. So back to the real stuff. We have a community question from Ben. Please be excited.
Who?
And he says, Ben, please be excited. I believe he's from New Zealand.
Oh, Australian?
If I had to,
Australia.
yeah. He says, "Hey guys, it's me, Ben. Nano, you're amazing. What's your dream job?"
I have like several. I would love to be an Imagineer for Disney, working in the theme parks. If I could completely change career paths, it would be that. I would also just like to work for, or just continue being a content creator, but do that full time. Just have that time during the day to make some really cool stuff, expand things, and just have fun making content all day long.
What's your favorite piece of content that you've made?
Oh, I definitely like my nanosecond reviews. That's
Me too.
definitely there because I feel like when I make those, I don't have to worry about any gradings or reviews itself. I'm just giving, here's what I liked about it, here's what I didn't like about it in a nice general way. They're fun and easy to make. Now that I've got the hang of it, But those are definitely been most enjoyment I've had out of it. I've also involved my fiance with that because she writes the scripts for those because I'm awful at thinking about things on bots. So it's almost like a group project in this house when I finish a game and we review it.
Does she watch you play? Does she play herself?
No, she is not a gamer.
Okay.
Not at all. So I will send her like a list of here's what I liked, here's what I didn't like, here's some background information for the game, and she'll write a quick script up covering basically making all that but more digestible.
Got you.
I mean, which really
That's
helps.
really cool. Yeah, absolutely. And I really liked back when Andy did his 30-second reviews, even if they were, kind of jokey, and whatnot. And there's a place for short form content like that. And I think you're killing it. That's awesome.
Thank you. It's definitely become more embraceable nowadays with the growth of TikTok, YouTube Shorts, whatever is happening on Instagram. But
yeah,
they're definitely making ways for content to adapt to the shorter.
Yeah. Instagram's an interesting place because it's like a weird amalgamation of everything. Mm-hmm. You've got aspects of TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, like everything in between on that platform. And then the recent announcement that they're like going away from picture content and more into short form video content or something.
It's like when Tumblr went away from, like, they cut out most of their audience base because Verizon wanted them to be more family friendly.
Yeah.
Or even OnlyFans cutting out the explicit stuff to be more family friendly and more open to content creators.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's not what people use the app for.
Yeah.
It's
interesting.
It's like if Facebook wasn't used to spread white supremacy,
Exactly.
Oh God.
I'll see myself.
I'm gonna go look at some rope real quick.
Oh no.
Google. Hey, what tensile strength do you think I need to hold my weight, everybody? Anyway, that's for climbing, everyone. That's for climbing.
Climbing rope, everybody. Climbing rope. He wants to climb away from life.
How do you manage to make that worse? Like, how do you get that back to the actual thing?
I don't know.
Like, Phil did a good job.
Yeah, I just put us right back on that.
Right back. Yep.
Gage, we have a community question from somebody. Please hit us with that.
I don't have one.
Wait, what? I sent.
You didn't send me nothing, dude. You didn't send me shit.
You have two. You have two.
I don't.
What?
I don't have to.
It says that they are sent. Okay, it's fine. I'll just say.
What are you talking about, Phil? I don't know what you're talking about. I never got a tweet from Hoodie or Matt.
Hey.
So, okay, I'll start with the Matt Ferguson question because I feel like he keeps running away from us and we need to get him on the show more. So Matt Ferguson writes in and says, "Where are you?"
You can take that however you want. Geolocation, where are you in life?
I just want to, for the record, say when I first saw this tweet, I thought he said, "Who are you?" And that was a lot funnier than "Where are you?"
Who are you is pretty good.
I don't know. I should be creeped out by this question.
Who are you is too rude, even for Matt.
Where are you?
Nothing's too rude for Matt.
Oh, how do I want to answer this? I will say I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Maryland.
Hey, there we
That's
go.
good.
There we go. Done. You've answered where
that's
you
all
are.
comfortable giving away.
I mean, like I said, it doesn't have to be geolocation. It can be like, yeah, where are you in life? Where
mentally,
you know?
like I'm
yeah, where are you mentally?
Somewhere far away right now.
Although the next question from Hoodie kind of deals with that.
Oh yes, the one from Hoodie. He asks this all the time, and I love it. Hoodie asks, "How are you?"
I'm hanging in there. It's definitely I've had better days, but coming out of the weird long busy month from work has definitely been helping me calm down, get to a better place for every part of my life. But you know, when work gets a little too much, it definitely takes its toll on everything else in life.
Definitely.
No matter how much fun everything is on the side.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what's going on, I like as an optician, I work with people, and I think we all know that people can be stressful.
People are the worst.
Has anyone seen Ulysses' story on Apple Plus TV? Anybody? No?
No.
Just me? Okay. There's a gentleman in that show that is very intense. And I had someone like that walk into my establishment the other day, and I honestly didn't know how it was going to end. Like, I didn't know if he was going to walk out, if we were going to have to call the police. I don't know. It was interesting.
I want to watch that now. That there's been working in retail. I had a lot of customers like that were just like, I had this guy once who saw the price of a MacBook, and he's like, "Why are you guys marking this up $200? It's only $1,000 on Apple's website." Well, actually, Apple gives us our prices, so if it says 1,200, it's 1,200. It's like, well, look right here on the website, and it's like, so that's the previous model. It's like, well, why can't I have the new? And it was like this whole thing ended with him like walking out of the store yelling, "This place is bullshit. You're fucking liars." And then I just went, "Yeah, bye." And yeah, people suck, man.
Yeah, I definitely. I'm happy that I'm not in general retail, because like I do feel like there's a purpose to my job in giving people the gift of sight. But it's definitely still dealing with people and whatnot.
Just be nice to people. I don't care if they're taking your order at McDonald's or selling you a TV at Best Buy. They're a fucking human being.
Just remember, they are people. They are people.
Unless
that goes for everything.
Like two of the people I worked with who were just fucking garbage people, then fuck them. But
so, speaking of which, I laughed. So, speaking of which, have you always just been in the medical field as far as your job is concerned? Have you ever had like a retail position or done anything like that besides the volunteer stuff that you may have done?
I worked in the college store, like just a small tiny retail store in college. That was really about it for retail experience. I also worked as a substitute teacher for a couple months before getting this job, which whole other can of worms, which was awful. Absolutely.
You and Kyle Stevenson would have some stuff to talk about.
Oh yeah, we have talked about it before, and I think me approaching it as an interim job and him approaching it more as that's what he's doing, trying to get to a teacher role, have two very different experiences with that. Because I was just there taking the money, like getting the money for it, so that I could have some spending money as a way to get an actual job. Kind of soured the whole experience for me anyway.
Sure. Yeah. And what age group?
It would vary. I definitely strayed away from elementary school. I focused on middle and high school. But then I started cutting out certain grades when I realized, oh no, if you substitute teach this grade, it is just awful. An awful time. Like, I cut out 6th grade entirely because they just could not sit still. And I had to actually teach them things every now and then, beyond just sitting there watching a movie.
Beyond, what would you say your favorite grade to teach was?
I think 7th or 8th, because they were trying to get ready for high school. For certain school districts, it was great because they would actually be attentive. They would try and learn whatever I was teaching, or just not mess with me. First and foremost.
We would have not gotten along back then. You would have been my teacher. Ooh, I was that kid that was just always just fucking like, okay, here's your task, do this, and I'm just like,
don't say, Gage.
Gonna do your work? Me? No.
Oh, I was the kid in middle school who would tell people to shut up so that I could listen better.
I'd be the
You
person
guys
you
would have
told to
gotten
shut up.
along nicely. Yeah.
You would have bullied me so hard.
No.
So, did anyone else have any questions they wanted to ask? I've been kind of hogging the space here.
No, you've kind of asked every question I was going to ask, which is a good thing. So, you carried the show very well. I'm proud of you, Phil. So proud of you.
So we like to kind of have some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
But
Rapid fire.
before we get it's not
They
it's
never
not
wanted
like
to be rapid
IGN or Game Informer rapid fire, yeah, where it's just like go answer. But it's just fun short questions that you can
Okay.
divulge however much information you want. But before we get to that one, we have a question that we ask each and every guest, and as you know, you are
Or sometimes-
familiar
sorry, what?
with one. What? No, go ahead.
No, you said each and every, and I was going into 4, sometimes 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Also, you didn't do the thing you do at the top of the show.
No, you're right.
Good catch,
It's because
Al. Good
oh my
catch.
gosh. So hang on.
Oh, it's
hang
because I
on.
kind of messed it up when
Uh-oh.
I said
It's fine.
go. Ah,
It's fine.
fuck, and then broke everything.
Hey Nano, I just want to say, you're pretty good.
Yay. Aw, look
Good.
at that. That's
It's
adorable.
So good.
So
That
heartfelt.
was great.
Never gets old.
Gage,
Awesome.
you monster. I know what you meant.
I am super happy that you brought that up because we don't normally do 2 episodes in a row. It was usually one a day. So like in my head, it's already been done.
Right, I
so
got you.
I apologize between Gage and I messing up the beginning of the show and already doing a show
It was
today.
all me. That was all me. I take full responsibility for that disaster.
I'm sorry that came so late in the show, but you deserve every ounce of that.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay, now that that's out of the way, now that we all know that you're pretty good,
I think we might have to clarify to Mick that was not Phil's Christian Slater.
Yeah,
That'll make sense if
Oh.
you've seen
so
the
that's a circle around joke.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're good. It's what almost
Doesn't-
1 a.m. for you. You're fine. Yeah, during our
Cats
episode
are
with
going
Naomi Kyle,
nuts.
we got on this tangent of whether or not David Hayter was in The Office, and there was a specific moment and character on a commercial that Naomi was trying to think of, and it was Christian Slater, but she heard David Hayter, and the Hayter kind of just ruled her memory on that one.
Oh, that's
And
funny.
we could not figure out who she was meaning until like, I don't know, 2/3 into the episode, we finally were like, oh, it was just an interesting moment. So yeah, that was not my impression of Christian Slater, whatever, Slater.
So the other recurring
You want to
segment we
like
have,
suppress
Phil.
all that happening?
Huh.
Just want to move on, suppress that it ever happens.
Yeah. Okay. So every episode we ask our wonderful guests a question, and you're familiar with this person. You've dealt with this person. You've talked to this person. It's Greg Miller. He has this ability to be everywhere. Whether it's responding to Instagram, Twitter, liking something, sharing something, talking about it on a show, being on a show while he's tweeting, like whatever it is. I mean, he's probably on a conference call right now while, spending time with his wife and, also writing the script for some show they're working on. I don't even know. He's everywhere at once. How do you think he does it? We've heard, aliens. We've heard cybernetic organisms. We've heard clones, twins. There's so many different things that it could be. What do you think? How does
I
Greg
think
Miller
he
do it?
drinks.
What do you think he is?
I think he lives life where everything in life is slow motion to him. So he's doing it faster. If we see him working, he could be working 2 or 3 times the normal pace of a human.
You're saying he's Sonic from the live action motion picture.
Exactly. Yes.
Or the Flash.
But
Or
that's
the
his
Flash,
normal. Like so,
sure.
when he's on Games Daily, he actually or any podcast, he actually just slow down his speaking so it sounds normal to us.
Meanwhile, in his head, he's like, "Oh my god, can they hurry up?"
Yeah.
That's funny. I like that. Now, how do you think he maintains his energy levels? Do you think it's literally just his hot wing consumption and Oreos?
Busan.
And obviously Busan coffee.
He feasts on young journalists' energy.
Oh,
That didn't go quite
Wow.
as dark as I thought I was gonna go. I just
that-
thought he was
is
like a
that the real
vampire
reason?
eating, drinking the blood of young journalists, but their energy. Okay, just their energy.
Is that the real reason that they brought Blessing on, just so he could siphon out Blessing's
Yeah, exactly.
young journalist energy?
He finished. He was done with Tim. He was done with Barrett. He was ready for a new person, so he brought Blessing.
Nice. I mean, to be fair, Blessing is quite the snack, if you know what I mean.
Can you picture Blessing with like chicken wings and Greg just feeding on his chicken wings?
Oh my god!
Just like going to town. And then Schreier
God.
comes in and
Now
he's
we're gonna
like,
get that Photoshop from Ben.
You need to go to sleep, Al.
all I can see now is Jason Schreier with chicken wings for arms.
Oh god.
Make that happen, Ben, please.
I like Tyler.
And just
Bass.
Greg
Make it
Miller
happen.
gnawing on his fucking arm.
I love that answer. That's a good one. We actually have not had that one where he has super speeds. That's great. That's
Oh,
fresh.
great!
And considering how many episodes of this show we've done, we've had a lot of fun answers. So it's a good one. I like it. Okay, so we talked a little bit about your first video game.
Mhm.
So in this rapid fire section, what was your favorite video game console, or what is your favorite video game console?
I'd say the 360.
Okay,
I always had the most
Nice.
memories with it.
that's a hot
I-
era for sure.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a lot of people's favorite. Either the 360 or the PS3. Sorry, excuse me, but yeah, that's how I met most of my friends, was playing Halo or Left 4 Dead 2 on that console. Little 2.
Heck yeah. Heck
All
yeah.
kinds of fun memories associated with that box.
See, I kind of got into the PlayStation 2 era, was my big era for
Mhm.
video games. And I definitely got into Xbox and Halo and stuff like that. But, I was ready for the PlayStation 3. And I got a 360 because obviously it dropped first. And I loved Tenchu Assassin Z. I don't care what anyone else says. The game's great. And then, obviously was playing, Halo 3 and all that stuff.
Also,
But
Ninja
I-
Gaiden Black is better than Ninja Gaiden Sigma, so
Sigma.
there's that.
Yeah, if
I
the
don't
reviews of the
even-
collection don't tell you anything.
I don't even know the difference. Isn't Sigma just the remaster of Black, or like the redo
little
or some
different.
shit?
A little different?
A little different.
Um,
They're
yeah, a
all
little
trash to
different.
me anyway.
Oh!
Says the Souls player. Wow, okay.
Never finished a Ninja
So-
Gaiden game. So hard. So very hard.
So I was very sad when they announced Left 4 Dead as an exclusive on the Xbox 360. That's where I was going with all that. That was like the first exclusive game, even though I had a 360, and I ended up playing it on PC, so it really doesn't even matter.
That was a
Yeah,
bizarre
why
era
would
of
that upset
Valve.
you?
Like Valve was
I
like,
know it wasn't upsetting. It was just I was so
Yeah,
sad.
like the orange box.
here's Left 4
Oh,
Dead.
man.
It's only on 360, but then it's like, here's all this cool shit we're doing with Portal 2, getting a free copy if
Yeah.
you buy it on PlayStation. Just like, it's like,
Right.
make up your mind,
Yeah.
guys. Jesus. And then they're like, hey,
Mhm.
fuck video games. We're just gonna sell them now. We're not gonna make them anymore. And
Hey, Dota's a game that they made.
dude, oh my god, I tried to play that game once. But let me tell you, that community, ugh,
Oh my God. I mean, Mick, you would know this. You would know how bad the like Dota, not Dota, but MOBA community is.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep.
toxic.
Oh.
Almost as bad as Rainbow Six Siege.
I love Siege, but yeah, the community is awful.
Yeah, no,
in
no,
that game.
we're not saying these games are bad. We're saying their communities are trash.
Yeah.
And since they're only PvP, it's like you're kind of screwed unless you have a group.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, Overwatch and Valorant have the same issues too. Speaking of, well, I mean, this isn't part of the rapid fire questions, but toxicity in the gaming environment. What's your experience? What are your thoughts? And what do you think we can do to kind of combat that since we're on the subject?
Yeah, I've experienced more than enough of it playing World of Warcraft, Siege, what else? Yeah, League of Legends, of course, with a lot of toxicity. And I think the only way to really combat it is for developers and publishers to make a more robust reporting system. That way, the bad eggs don't just keep on going through, but have automated reviews or even being able to clip footage out and show how bad they're being to other players, or somehow even integrating, which might be a little bit of spyware, but having ways to upload audio from Discord to the game so that they can hear Discord or just comms in general as well, because I still don't think that they are able to listen to comms during games. Just listen to those comms and see where most of the toxicity is.
Yeah.
I know that the PlayStation 5 has some comm recording stuff, but I don't know if it extends out to like enemy combatants or like teammates that aren't in your PlayStation party.
I think it's just party right now.
Yeah.
But then by that logic, if someone reports in Team A, wouldn't they be able to go and look at Team B's recordings? Whatever.
Maybe.
Wouldn't that all be?
In theory, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I agree with that though. Like definitely the reporting system for stuff like that needs to be more robust, and they need to be better about enforcing it for sure, because it sucks. I can't tell you how many times I have popped on voice chat for like 30 seconds and had someone in fact I accidentally I was playing Fortnite the other night, and I accidentally went into a filled like trios match or something, one where it was just me, and I accidentally filled, and the person started talking to me, and I was like, oh no, and I didn't respond, and then they started calling me extremely obscene names and saying like, why aren't you effing talking to me, you XXX name, whatever. And I was like, first of all, you sound like you're 9, and second of all, why are you saying all of these horrible things to someone you have no idea? We just talked about anonymity on the internet and how it makes people way bolder than they probably would be if they saw you face to face. And man, it is nightmarish, because I understand we on the one hand we need to protect certain things. Like I put my full name out there, which is like people look me up, whatever. And that's scary at times, but thankfully, like for me, I have no clout on the internet whatsoever, so it doesn't really matter. But at the same time, like I understand why we need to protect those things, because there are people that are out here swatting people because they decided to take the time and look up somebody's IP address and figure out where they live and do something horrible to them. So there are reasons for this anonymity to be in place, but at the same time, the people who are abusing that, it sucks. It really sucks that there are people out here that are just freely using a platform to be horrible people.
Yeah.
I remember someone actually tracking, like somehow getting, knowing exactly the country I lived in at the time when I was playing Halo 3 on the 360. So that brings the whole thing back together.
Yeah.
Like I was playing Halo 3 online, and the guy literally said, "You're playing from country X, aren't you?" And that freaked the shit out of me. I was like, I thought consoles were this closed wall sort of thing. Like, how did this person that freaked the hell out of me?
That's terrifying. Anyway, so favorite console, 360. Favorite video game on said console.
I gotta go with Portal 2. That seems like a safe answer, but it's one of the best games ever made.
Sure.
Absolutely loved it.
Good choice.
Now, did you feel like the song at the end of Portal 2 was as good as Portal 1?
Of course not, but it was
Okay.
still fitting.
There are people out there that like it better, and I just like to know, because it's really cool. Hearing people's different opinions and different takes on things is always really fun. So, but
Totally.
I agree. This was a triumph, huge success. I can't overstate my satisfaction. It's so good. It's so good. Anyway, so favorite game in general.
Tie between Kingdom Hearts 2 and World of Warcraft. I've put the most time into World of Warcraft, but I still get the most enjoyment out of Kingdom Hearts 2.
That's awesome. Easily one of my favorite in that franchise is still Kingdom Hearts 2 for sure. Just gameplay wise, character wise, it's so much fun. The way they expand on the universe, absolutely great. Favorite genre of movie?
I always like fantasy, where it's just you can realism, groundedness is out the door. They can cast spells and I'll just have a great time watching it.
All right. Favorite movie in that genre?
Lord of the Rings.
Dang, that's
interesting.
Two in a row. That's awesome. Now, are we talking original cut or extended cut?
Extended.
Why even ask that
Or are we
question,
talking about
Phil?
the 80s animated movie then? Why
Don't
not
even
go
bring
through
that
that?
up. My God.
Why would anybody watch the normal edition?
I'm just checking.
Bill wants to get his facts straight.
That's right.
He will be tested on this.
Favorite movie in general?
I think it's The Great Gatsby that has Leonardo DiCaprio as Gatsby. I don't know what it is about the movie, but I just love it.
That's awesome. Why corgis?
They're adorable. Their butts are cute. They're just so fluffy. Because I grew up with Shepherd. I grew up with a German Shepherd most of my life, and apartments. My house now, I would not want a giant German Shepherd in it because I know I could meet its energy level. So corgis are basically small shepherds. They have the same attitude as a German Shepherd, but different energy level, different size, more easy to just pick up and manage.
That's true. Very true. That's awesome. Favorite candy bar?
Heyday.
Ooh, good choice.
All right. I like it. And the final question. Drum roll. I don't get a drum roll.
It's not. The mic's not picking it up, which is funny.
Delgado. The way 3 is just too good.
Yep.
Now I blanked on my question. Oh no.
I'll throw one in there. Can I?
Okay, please.
That?
Yeah.
Favorite sandwich.
Oh, there we go.
See, I like a lot of stuff in my sandwich. So maybe like an Italian, but with hot peppers on it.
Ooh,
Nice.
speaking my language.
Piggybacking off of that, is a hot dog a sandwich?
Yes. Short and sweet. Yes, it is.
So
I like that answer.
Okay. This is a silly question, but
Aren't they all?
if you could have any, yes, 100%. If you could have any animal as a pet that wasn't a corgi, what would it be?
Red panda.
Red panda or panda?
Red panda. They
Red
are
panda.
the cutest things ever. And I could just cuddle it all day and be happy.
That's perfect.
Can't wait for Carl to see
That's
this
perfect.
episode now.
Yep, 100%.
Oh, he loves red pandas.
That's awesome.
They're so cute.
It's like his mascot. It's great.
Yeah.
And
answer.
that's it, everybody. This has been another episode.
Well, can I say something, Phil?
Yeah.
I want to throw in a cryptic question just for the viewers.
Oh,
Can I do that?
yeah. Tired Al is best Al.
What happened to little Ashley Williams? Answer that in the comments, and maybe you'll get a little surprise if you're the first person to answer that.
Interesting. I like it. I like that a lot.
Talking about the Mass Effect character that everybody overhypes. When in
Let's not.
reality-
We
in
don't
rea-
need to say anymore. This is for the
reality,
viewers
Caden's
to
a
have
better-
fun in the comments with.
Caden's a much better companion, but everybody likes Ashley for some reason. They write him off as some
Mick,
boring
the
character, but
nanobiologist,
she's like a space racist
is
and shit. So,
officially
like,
out of
our
our
league.
league. Thank you for watching today's episode.
Thank you.
If you liked this episode, just for Nano, not for us, obviously, because we're dumb, please leave a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell,
God
and leave a
damn.
note down in the comments on what we can do better, what you enjoyed, and check us out at simplysassyvids.com. Nano, where can people find you?
Should I say this while trying to laugh?
All
Take your
right.
time.
Ugh.
Take your time.
You can find me on TikTok at the Nanobiologist, YouTube at Nanosecond Gaming, Twitter at DA Nanobiologist, and Twitch when I get back into streaming at the Nanobiologist.
Awesome. Thank you so much for agreeing to be
Caden
on
Lake
this
was
show.
just such a better companion, dude. I just can't even.
It's been a pleasure. Have a great day.
Thank you guys so much for
everybody.
having me.